Hey folks, welcome back to another video in our continuing coverage of the GAMA 2018 trade show here in Reno, Nevada. I am here with Nathan from Pandasaurus, and he is going to show us Nyctophobia.
Yep.
Is that pronounced correctly? Right. Hey, super. All right, so what is this thing that you have in front of us?
So Nyctophobia means the fear of the dark. And in this game,
a lot of us have that.
Yep. And in this game, 4 players are going to be the hunted, and they're trying to find their car, which is this piece here, and get to it without any of them being killed by the hunter.
All right.
So turn order is going to work where the hunted are going to move around, and they're ultimately trying to find the car. Get out without anybody taking 2 pieces of damage. If you take 2 damage, you die. Now the wrinkle is the hunted are all wearing these.
Hey, I can see perfectly.
Yep. So the hunted can see absolutely nothing.
That is correct. I can attest to this.
Hunter can. So the hunter knows what's going on. On a player's turn, I'm going to grab your hand real quick. I am going to put you there. This is your player piece.
Okay.
So you can feel in one space in each direction.
I can feel in one space?
Yeah, feel around with your fingers a little bit, and you can kind of feel around in the holes and keep it like one around you.
All right.
And then you could choose to move one of those directions.
Okay, I'm going to go this way.
Perfect. There you go.
Like that.
Yep. Okay. And so we can take the glasses off unless you
what's actually kind of strange is that I was closing my eyes behind these.
Yep.
I didn't have to, but it's like something you just naturally do.
So the hunted can't see anything.
Okay.
And what you're trying to do at the beginning of the game, the hunter is going to give each player one of the directions. So in this case, north or west, to let them know the general direction of the car.
Okay.
The hunted don't know where they are on the map. They just know that they're out there somewhere and that they're all trying to get in the direction. So if I, as the hunter, had said north, you would all generically try to move that direction to find the car.
Okay.
And what you're actually doing, and the really cool story behind this game, the designer, Catherine Sipple, is a 20-year-old college student, and her uncle is non-sighted. And she plays board games with him, and she realized that we take spatial relations of things for granted.
Yeah.
And when they play board games with him, they have to describe the way the board looks in extreme detail so that he can build a picture of the map in his head. And that's actually what you're doing in this game. Is as you start out, you're like kind of bumbling around and moving randomly.
Yeah.
And then you start telling the other players what you're doing and where you're moving, and you start figuring out, like, I'm on the eastern edge of the map, I think. And you know, you bump into one of your friends eventually.
Yeah.
And then you start orienting your maps together and figuring out, well, where have you been?
Gotcha.
Who got hit by the hunter where? And the hunter is controlled by a deck of cards. So the hunter is not just an adversary. He works a little bit like a DM for the game. Okay. Where he's going to be helping players out, putting their fingers where they need to be. And it's really a satisfying feeling to watch somebody go the wrong direction.
So it's the hunter, but he's not the adversary of the hunted.
He is, but he's card driven. So he's
all right. So he just can't do whatever he wants.
Yeah, he's limited in movement. It's going to be card driven, depending on what you're doing. So like moving 2 spaces is a very common one. And there's kind of another facet to the game, which is the noise token. So there are these rocks that are peppered around the board, and players can pick them up. And the hunter has 2 rules of movement. He has to move towards noise if there's noise on the board. So if you throw a rock and it hits something, it moves noise there and it draws the hunter that direction.
That's cool.
You have to be careful because you could throw a rock and it will go as far as it goes until it hits something and stops.
Gotcha.
If you hit one of your friends, the noise token is going to be on your friend, which is no good. But you can try to direct the direction that the hunter is going to be moving throughout the game.
Now, do they lose health if you hit your friend with a rock?
They do.
Oh,
so
boy,
don't do that.
Not good. Yeah, that's bad.
The other thing within the game is if there's noise, the hunter has to move towards the noise, but he gets better movement actions. If there's no noise, he has to move towards the nearest hunted. So he has some rules he has to follow.
Okay.
It's not quite programmed because they have 2 cards in hand and they can choose which to play.
Gotcha.
And generally it's just moving around and trying to get near players. Players take damage only when they touch the hunter.
Okay.
So this is a very anxiety-provoking moment when you're sitting here and you're feeling around and you hit the top of that and you realize it's smooth. Because that's the hunter player.
That's the hunter.
The other player tokens all have notches in them of some variety. So as you touch them, you're like, oh, is that my friend or not? And when you take damage, it's very scary and you all move away. And the game just works really well. It's the only horror game that is actually scary.
So there are like multiple copies.
There's 4 of those. We only have one right now because this is a pre-production proof copy. But yep, there's 4 of those come in it. There's 2 decks of cards in here. What you're looking at now is set up for the Axe Murderer, if you will.
Okay.
Who's this lovely arm, which is actually Peter Woken, the graphic designer's arm, if you're curious.
Interesting.
And the other, he gets to do fairly normal things, and the success rate on this one's about 40% success rate that the hunted live.
Only 40.
Only 40. You're going to lose more than you win. He gets to do some cool things if there's noise on the board, like chop down trees, so he can move through trees to get to you. The other deck that comes in the this box is the Warlock. And the Warlock has less than a 30% success rate in our testing, so it's a more advanced game. He gets to do things like spin the board 45 degrees, start turning trees to make new lanes and covering up tracks from where you've been. So it's a much more advanced game.
So you could basically say it's almost like a scenario-based type thing, where the map is going to change based upon who the hunter is.
Exactly. Each hunter has 2 maps for him. We have a QR code and a web address on our website. We're going to have 2 more maps of each at launch, and we'll continue to put maps up there. Okay. So it'll be continual living content. That way you don't have to worry about people memorizing map layouts to the game. There can always be new content for it.
Okay. So where are you at in the production alley for this?
This will be out at Gen Con.
Okay.
MSRP on it is $39.95, and it will come with the 2 decks and everything you see here.
Everything you see here, except you said this one was still a little...
Yeah, everything here is final production. This is a vacuum form mold, and the holes are a little bit bigger, so you can see the trees jostle.
Right.
The final version, which was supposed to be here today and is not, they actually clip in so that they don't move at all while you're playing.
That's cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Nathan, for stopping by.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate it. So be sure to, you said Gen Con, right?
Gen Con.
Yeah, be sure to check this out at Gen Con if you're going to be there, and keep your eyes out for it if you're not. Thanks for joining us. We certainly appreciate it. We'll see you guys on the flip side.